This is the brand new LUMIX L10, and it is a really cool little Micro Four Thirds point and shoot that just came out yesterday at the time of recording this video. I didn't know I was going to be getting this. I literally was flying home from Ireland and Lumix were like, hey, check your mailbox, and this was in it. So here we are. I've used it throughout the day today, from my morning coffee to walking around the street during the day, and we had a little sort of cookout last night, just taking some little photos, and I really do enjoy using it. The images that I'm getting out of it, I do really like it, and all of these photos have been edited using my own custom presets. I haven't released those yet, but I am working on it, so if you like the look of these, do let me know. They're kind of more stylized than I typically go for, so if this is of interest to you, do let me know, because I do plan on releasing these at some point in the future. But honestly, this little camera is pretty fun for everything that I've used it for so far, which is kind of like as a dad cam style walk around everyday point and shoot fun camera. Whenever I first saw it and first looked at it, I really didn't know what it was I was looking at. The camera itself is beautiful, right? Aesthetically, it is a lovely looking camera. I don't think there's any doubt about that, especially this titanium gold version. I think looks fantastic. Now the LUMIX L10, the black version and the black and silver version come in at $1,500, well $1,499, and the titanium gold version comes in at $1,599. So it's $100 more, but with that extra $100, you obviously get the nicer limited edition color, but you also get this little lens cap thing on the front, which in my mind is just the coolest thing. I mean, I keep doing this. I just do this over and over again. It's just very enjoyable to do. So to me, that's honestly worth $100. I don't know if that's worth it to you, but to me, that little lens cap is worth $100. I just think that's absolutely fantastic. Now the camera itself, physically, we'll go through the kind of body and all of the buttons and dials and everything in just a second, but it feels like what I wanted the LUMIX S9 to be on release. You got a viewfinder, you got a slightly nicer grip, so it feels very much like the LUMIX S9. It just feels just a little bit more premium, not massively more premium, but it does definitely have a step up in build quality. The lens that comes on this is really nice. The lens is by Leica. It is a 24 to 75mm equivalent, but if you use the crop zoom feature, you can actually get zoomed all the way into 211mm in photography mode, and then in video mode it kind of depends on what aspect ratio and what resolution you're filming at will change your crop zoom. But crop zoom is actually a really fun little feature to use. So you can get a huge amount of varieties of photos out of this tiny little lens. I really like the sharpness, I like the quality. You can get some background blur if you want it. All of the photos that I edited, I did add some grain, so I might have gone a little bit too far, but I quite like it. So that is added grain. They're actually very clean images straight out of the camera, but I'm going for something a little bit more stylized, and I think that's kind of what this is. This is just a little stylized, fun camera. That seems to be the marketing. That seems to be what they're pushing for, is a good run around, point and shoot, fun camera for photographers. But in saying that, the video specs are very impressive. You can do a whole bunch of amazing video features out of this camera. I think it's going to be better for photographers, and we'll talk about why towards the end. First off, let's just go through the body of the camera, because again, first impressions wise, that's about all that I can cover. Right, body wise, let's just start with the lens. The lens on here is really nice. It has this detachable lens cap if you get the titanium gold, already talked about that, and then behind that you actually have the aperture rings. The aperture ring is up front and it goes from f1.7 all the way down to f16 with a very nice clicky ring. The lens itself is f1.7 to f2.8, so at the widest end at 24mm you're at f1.7, and then you know by the time you get down to 75mm you're at f2.8. so if you do just stick it in f2.8, you have it constant the whole way through, which I think is great. That's a decent amount of light to be letting in for low light performance. Behind that you have the zoom ring, which can also act as the focus ring depending on what kind of mode that you have, and then above that you have this little switch here. This is a really interesting little switch. You got this 1, 2 and 3 setting, and what this seems to do default in the box is it changes the aspect ratio of your photos, so you can go from 1:1, 4:3, you can change them around. There's no X-pan crop, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that's just something to do with the sensor, but a lot of the other full frame Lumix cameras, they have this X-pan crop and I really like it. So this doesn't have that, but obviously you can just do that in post if you want to. And then around the side you have a autofocus, manual focus toggle, but also it's got an autofocus setting here for macros. So the close focus distance on this lens, especially when you're at 24mm, is very, very impressive. At its closest focus, I mean, you're almost touching whatever it is that you're trying to focus on. It can focus incredibly closely, which is a really nice bonus to have. So that's the lens that comes on here. It's a Leica 24-75 f1.7 to 2.8. Nice little lens. Now the body itself, if you compare it to the LUMIX S9, is pretty similar. It's actually a little bit thinner and a teeny tiny little bit shorter, but overall it does look and feel kind of similar. It's got a couple more buttons, but overall I think it's very, very similar. They do add a little sort of viewfinder, and honestly it's fine. It's not the best viewfinder in the world. It's usable is what I would say. It's not my favorite, but it's usable, which is better to have than nothing at all. Then behind it you have a very similar smattering of buttons that you can kind of customize and do whatever you want with, so do set up your camera whichever way that you see fit. I do like this little dial here that they have right in the middle that allows you to switch from photo to video to S and Q mode. That's just kind of nice to have. Again, I do quite like having that as a physical switch, to be able to swap between them. That's quite nice to have. I do really like the texture and the feel of this grip. It's not the most premium feeling, like it doesn't feel like a Leica, but it certainly is much nicer than something like the LUMIX S9. It's a nice sort of in between there. You got a very similar little sort of dial here. Looks just like the LUMIX S9 version, but it does feel a little bit more secure. I know a lot of people have had problems with their LUMIX S9 where this dial breaks. Time will tell, but this feels just a little bit better. But again, I can't guarantee that because I've only had it for a day. And then below that, you have the only branding on the entire camera where it says LUMIX L10 right on the bottom. Then underneath, you actually have two doors for two separate compartments. You have the battery door, and then the SD card port has its own little door, which is fine. So you got a little SD UHS 2 compatible SD card slot. Obviously, that is very, very close to this thread on the bottom here, so you're not going to be able to swap out your SD cards if you have a large tripod plate on the bottom. But in saying that, I don't think this is the kind of camera that you're going to be sticking on a tripod very much. Then on the left hand side of the camera, not the grip side this time, which I do appreciate, you have two ports. You have a USB-C and a mic input. And then on the top here, you do actually have a hot shoe. I actually have not been using the zoom ring on the lens. I've just been using this little toggle for zoom. I find it works better than the zoom on the lens itself. All the buttons are very customizable, so you can kind of change things and do whatever you want with them, which is great. So that's the body. It's really interesting. I'm not a big fan of point and shoot little cameras with built-in lenses, mainly because I want to be able to use all of the lenses that I own. But with this being Micro Four Thirds, I wouldn't be able to use any of those lenses anyway, so I'm quite happy actually having a 24-75 lens built on. Now for me personally, looking at the price of this camera, I actually think it's very reasonable. $1,500 for a premium feeling little point and shoot camera with a very nice high quality 24-75 f1.7 to 2.8 lens, all included in that price. I mean, you can buy lenses for more money than that, never mind getting a camera body in with it. So price wise, I think it's actually landing in a really good spot. Whether it's the right price for what you're looking for or not, that is entirely up to you. I cannot answer that question, but overall I think it's well placed in the market. All right, let's talk about the negatives that I've experienced, because there are two or three little things that I don't like initially about this camera. One is major, two are minor. First off, autofocus performance in decent light works fantastically. It's very similar to the S12 series of cameras. I haven't changed any of my settings. I'm very much just sort of using this straight out of the box. So once I tweak and do my own style of settings, it'll obviously perform a little bit better, but straight out of the box, it works just fine. However, I did find in low light, it really struggled. But again, there's a decent chance that that is user error because I probably don't have the settings set up quite right. So a longer term review will hopefully showcase a little bit more of that. Another little gripe, the viewfinder is good, but it's not fantastic. That's all I'll say about that. It's nice. I would rather have one that's not great than not have one at all. So thank you for including that. I do like that the SD card slot is separate from the battery, but I don't like its positioning here. You're just not going to be able to put it on a tripod. Again, I say that, but I'm probably not ever going to put this on a tripod, so maybe it's a moot point, but just something I thought I'd mention. And then the last thing that I actually don't like about this at the moment, and I do is a genuine gripe of mine, is the IBIS. Now I'm going to demonstrate this next section just with a handheld walking shot because I find that the IBIS is not quite what I want it to be. It's not performing quite as well as I would hope. So obviously now I'm vlogging. These are actually the internal microphones, but hopefully you can see and hear that the image quality is good, but the shakiness is pretty strong. And no, I'm not being very careful. I am just kind of walking with the camera, and currently I have the normal stabilization turned on, but you do get digital stabilization as well. So I'll go ahead and turn on digital stabilization. I think it's called E stabilization. And now we're on E stabilization, which just has it on and off. It doesn't have cropless, doesn't have all those kind of fancy things. But this is it just sort of turned on. Now we are cropped in just a little bit. Is it better? It's hard to tell. Like on the screen of just using it, it doesn't look much better. So, I mean, this is probably the only downside that I've really found so far, is the fact that the stabilization is not up to LUMIX standard. It's not LUMIX quality. So that was just a bit of a shame. I don't know if this is my version or not, but IBIS on and IBIS off doesn't feel any different. Like, you get that little crop in of the E stabilization, but handheld, like that little clip that I just showed you, I wasn't being careful and I was on uneven terrain, so that's probably a pretty extreme scenario. Like, if you're standing still just holding the camera, I think it's fine. But LUMIX being known for their IBIS, this is kind of disappointing to me. I would love to see better digital or electronic IBIS in this camera, or like their cropless E stabilization somehow be built into this, because it's just a little bit disappointing as it is. So I would not use this as like a walk around vlog camera. I would definitely use this more for photography. It does have a mechanical shutter. It's very quiet, very, very quiet. And it does have the viewfinder. It does feel more photography focused, but it does have all of the video specs. So it's always kind of confusing. It's hard to know exactly who I should pitch this camera towards, because it does have the video specs, but using it for video was not my favorite. So I do prefer this for photography. That would be my take. So there it is, the LUMIX L10. Cool little camera, pretty fun, and I'm gonna try it as my new sort of daily walk around carry. We'll see how that goes. See if it'll replace my Fujifilm X-M5. Who knows? Anyway, if you're interested in this camera, I will leave links down below. Please don't feel rushed to go out and buy it though, because you may want to stick around and watch for more long-term reviews to see other people's experience, because it has only been out for a day. So make sure to do proper research before making it your buying decision. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, or maybe even subscribe as we continue to build this channel. I appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.